Actually is not about you, it is the expectation from you. So I thank all of you for joining and spending your time to come to this event. And thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. I thank Amrit Vapa Prabhu and Mataji and family for giving me this opportunity to be able to serve you all. So we'll do a small kirtan and then how many of you have come here for the first time? Any first timers? No, so okay, Jai, welcome for the first time. And are you all familiar with Jai Radha Madhav, the bhajan? Yeah, so we'll sing Jai Radha. So we sing a bhajan called Jai Radha Madhav, and then we sing reciprocally. So let's see. Yeah. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Banachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Ho Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jai Ho Krishna Balaram. Jai Ho Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Lalita Vishakani Radhe Shyam. Vrindavan Dham, Vrindavan Dham, Vrindavan Dham, Jai Ho Vrindavan Dham. Jayo Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jayo Subhadra. Jayo Gauranitai, 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 Jayo Gauranitai. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Shatashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Thank you so much. We'll just chant some prayers before we begin the discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishna Vamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Yam pravrjantam anupetam krityam dvaipayana viraha katara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravo bhinedu stham sarva bhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. So Hare Krishna. So first of all, I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to be able to serve you all. And it's a wonderful setting and it's a wonderful topic given by Sudhir Gopal Prabhu and Amrit Babu Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. My humble obeisances. The topic is today, you know what's the topic? 3 L's, the formula of 3L. Love Gita, learn Gita and live Gita. So the topic itself is Romanchan. You know, you can get enthusiastic just hearing the topic. So that was my condition. So by Srila Prabhupada's grace and all the devotees' mercy and the Purvacharyas, we will just discuss a little bit with whatever knowledge I have been bestowed by my seniors and my previous acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. So before we begin the discussion, I want to share a story with you. Now, there was a young man who was spoiled by choice by his father. He was a rich young man. He was graduating from his college. So on the graduation day, he was always dreaming of one gift. You know what it was? Take a guess. What was his choice of gift that he wanted? He wanted a sports car. He wanted a very nice sports car. So he had a desire that his father is going to gift him that. So he finishes his last day of the college, he comes home and he tells his dad that I've finished my college, I've got my results, I've passed wonderfully. And his father was elated. And his father says, here son, there's a gift for you. And with a lot of glee, he picks up the box and he thinks, oh, finally my dad's fulfilled my wishes. So he opens the box to find what? He finds a Bhagavad Gita inside. Imagine he was so elated that his father's going to give him keys for the sports car, but he found a Bhagavad Gita inside. As soon as he saw the Bhagavad Gita, now you can imagine the picture, you know, and of course I can't give you the background music, which is famous for Indian serials these days. So you can see the violin and everything, you know. And he gets morose looking at the Bhagavad Gita. He gets morose, okay. Now our condition is different. We get excited when we see Bhagavad Gita. For him, it was a transition from elation to lamentation. So, what? What? Now, Bhagavad Gita? And then he looks at his dad with a scornful look. And then he says, Dad, you could have done something more to me. So he just throws the box to his dad and just walks out of the house. Because he was bigde baap ke bigde, bachcha jo thera. So he walked out of the house and many years passed. And he had settled down, he had a family, and he still got this anger on his dad. You know? Then incidentally, after a couple of years, he gets a phone call saying that his dad had passed away. So then he drives to his house back to see and do the needful. With a very sorrowful outlook, he steps inside the house to say, because he remembers all that he had done to his father on the day of his graduation, because he was spoiled by whatever, you know, by his destiny. And then his father had left a will that all his belongings belonged to his son. So he was roaming the house and he saw the same box that was gifted to him 2 years before to his father, by his father. So he picks up the box with tears in his eyes. He takes the box and starts flipping the pages of Bhagavad Gita. And when he keeps flipping the Bhagavad Gita, something falls down from the back of the Bhagavad Gita, and it was an envelope, and then the keys drop out with a chit with the keys. It says, paid in full in cash for the car he wanted to drive. So it was stuck behind the book, and he never realized that the father said, I will give you what you want, but you have to see the Bhagavad Gita first. But alas, it was too late. He couldn't apologize to his father. So sometimes the moral of the story is, the Lord gives us blessings always. He's always blessing us. But it need not be in the way that had to be packaged in the way I want it to be. The packaging could be different. So always we expect blessings in the way we want it to be packaged as. But here his father packaged it in a different way. He got what he wanted, but he missed it. He missed the point. So it was wrapped up behind the Bhagavad Gita. And probably his father did that on purpose. So now imagine after 2 years, he will never ever become a person that he was 2 years before. So he'll be a little more diligent and humble. So with this, so let us step into the glorious book called Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Any teachers here? Anyone teaches as a profession? Anyone? Okay. Actually, we're all teachers. Any parents out here? Parents having mom and dads? Hands up if you're mom and dads. Your mom and dad? Okay, you are mom. Okay. When I say mom and dad, I mean your parents of your children. So your grihastas basically. So grihast log hai, bahut sare. Most of them are grihastas. So grihastas means your teachers by default. So you'll be teaching. So In teaching field, there is a pedagogy. Pedagogy means art of teaching. In art of teaching, there is a methodology called as 5 W's and H. Have you heard of that? 5 W's means you ask 5 questions: why, what, when, where, and uh, uh, no, when, what, where, why, and who. These are 5 W's, and then H is how. So you ask a topic these 5 and H questions, and then try to analyze the topic. Usually, this is used primarily in journalism, but usually teachers use this methodology. So I just thought I'll follow this for today's topic because it excited me the moment I heard about the topic. Now, the book Bhagavad Gita. Where does this book come from? Which scripture is it coming from? Mahabharata. See, Bhagavad Gita itself is not an individual book on itself. It did not manifest as a separate book in itself. Is it not? It's just one of the parvas. Mahabharata has 18 parvas. In 18 parva, Bhishma parva is one parva, one skanda, for example, one canto. 18 cantos, one canto is Bhishma parva. And within Bhishma parva, there are 700 shlokas that Vyasadeva composed, and that 700 shlokas came about as the glorious book Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which has its own significance and can stand out apart from all other books Vyasadeva compiled. Even outside the Brihat Mahabharata, which composes of how many verses? It's 200,000. It's 100,000 verses for 4 lines. If you split them up, it's four lines each, so it's 200,000. It's one of the longest and the most magnum opus contribution of Vyasadeva. So therefore, it is an envy of Bharatiya Samskriti in one sense, Mahabharata. And from this Mahabharata comes Bhagavad Gita. So in this Bhagavad Gita, how many verses do we say the Bhagavad Gita has? 700. And within that 700, has Krishna spoken all the 700 verses? How many verses has he spoken? He's spoken 574 verses. 574, 84 are by Arjuna and 41 by Sanjaya. So, and of course, Dhritarashtra also has spoken one verse. We give the credit for the first verse to Dhritarashtra. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetra. Now, this Bhagavad Gita, so before we, I want to let's touch the topic about learn Gita. How do we learn Gita? I didn't want to make it too boring to say let's have methodologies how to study Gita. But before even we need to learn a subject, when you want to learn a subject, what is that you would like to do before? What is a prerequisite? Any subject, for example, you want to study physics, biology, mathematics, you want to study a subject. How would you equip yourself to be a master in that subject? Or how would you even approach that subject? Very nice. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Good, but interesting. Very good. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? Enthusiastic. Okay, what makes you enthusiastic? What is the objective? To learn what? So, before even you begin the subject, you need to know what the subject is it not? So, if you do not know what the subject is itself, then you will not probably be inspired to learn it. Is it not? For example, physics. Physics? What is physics? Of course, if you say physics means and you define something physics, it's quite boring. But if you inspire a child to say these are all what constitutes physics, then you might enthuse the student to say, wow, I need to learn this subject. So you need to learn a subject, you need to know about that subject in the first place. So I thought to learn Bhagavad Gita, we need to understand its glories a little bit before even we start formulating, how do we even learn this book? How do we even approach to learning so that I can understand something that Krishna has spoken in this literature? In the introduction of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in the last part of the section, Prabhupada quotes a few shlokas composed by Adi Shri Shankara Bhagavad Shankaracharya. It is called as Gita Mahatmya. In that, one of the verses Adi Shankara composes, Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamratam Mahat. Now, this verse itself is amazing composition by Adi Shankaracharya. He says, Sarvopanishado Gavaha. I'll tell you why we have to learn Bhagavad Gita. In today's day and age, we do not have time to study our own subjects. Students can tell you, they have a heavy bag. They carry heavy bags. I don't know, it's still the norm. I used to carry a heavy bag before. I don't know if it's still the norm. Is still the norm? Okay. So you have a bent back with heavy bag the children carry, and all of those subjects you have physics, math, science, English, whatnot, whatnot, whatnot. But there is one subject missing. That is spiritual subject. Nobody teaches spiritual subject. You ask the general populace, सीख के क्या करेगा प्रभु जी? पेट थोड़े ही भरेगा इससे. You know, will it fill your stomach, Prabhu? Don't worry. उसके लिए time है. Generally in your relative circles they'll tell you, Adhyatma is for 60 plus. Now is the time to enjoy life. Let's study mathematics and physics and enjoy life, right? So the magnum opus Mahabharata gives us this Bhagavad Gita, and Adi Shankara writes, Sarvopanishado Gavaha. Bhagavad Gita is a compilation of the entire Upanishads. Krishna milked because he knew we do not have the capacity to study the Vedas, because Vedas are huge. Actually, Vedas have 4 sections inside them, and again there are so many Upanishads, and among them 108 are primary, and there are many more, there are hundreds more, but primary 108 Upanishads. So study that with, first of all, who knows Sanskritam here? And then Sanskritam study itself is for 12 years. First of all, we don't have time from our WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram and what else? WhatsApp and what else? YouTube Shorts. Next? Telegram. Good. Next? Look at this. Wonderful, no? Topics. It's coming one after the other. I'm glad nobody said Netflix. so people are engrossed with so many material emoluments, we don't have time. So then Krishna said, let me compile them. I did my engineering in BMS College of Engineering here, and I did my evening engineering there. So we didn't have time, because I used to work in the mornings and go in the evenings. After the birds go to sleep, we used to study engineering. And at that time, sometimes it used to be so hard that we used to flip the syllabus book just when the examination timetable used to come out. Say, what was that we used to study? And then we used to buy some smaller, concise versions called summarized books, textbooks. We used to read those summarized textbooks and then try to pass the exams. We didn't have time to, read research books in that sense. Some subjects, not all though, because we had experience in our job. So Krishna did the same thing. Sarvopanishado Gavaha. Krishna is what? He's a cowherd boy. Okay? There is a specific reason why he's a cowherd boy. Okay? And we will see how to love Bhagavad Gita when we come about understanding Krishna's personality. Now these Upanishads are plenty, right? How many of you have seen milking of a cow? Anybody seen how to milk a cow? Anybody has seen milking of an Indian breed cow? Not the Jersey wala. Jersey wala you can milk anyways. Machine also they put nowadays. But you can't do that with the Indian breed cows. Indian breed cows, how do they milk it? How do they milk it? Yes, who said that? Yes. If you actually observe, they bring the calf in front of the mother cow. The mother looks at the calf. Looking at the calf, the mother pours mercy and her udders gets filled with the milk. And then the calf is allowed to drink the milk a little bit, and then the calf is taken away. And the rest of the milk is drunk by Karnataka Milk Federation. Nandini milk. Okay, but they also do A2 these days. So that is what the concept of milking a cow is. At least a little bit of remnants is left out, but nowadays everything is done by machine. At least so the country I come from, at least the country where I stay nowadays, it's all factory farming, which is a very sad state of affairs. So a calf is bought in the front, and looking at the calf, the mother pours the mercy. In the same way, Krishna is milking the Upanishads. Sarvopanishado Gavaha. He was a Gavaha, he's a cowherd man. He's milking, but who's the calf here? Arjuna is the calf. So he keeps Arjuna in the center, he milks the Upanishads and gives a little to Arjuna, and the rest of the milk, which is called Gitamrita Mahat, Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha. Gopala Nandana means Krishna. Gopala Nandanaha Sudhir Bhogda Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. Partho Vatsaha. The Vatsa means the calf. Here the Vatsa is Partha. Okay, why we'll understand why he's called Partha also. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is usko alag-alag naam se sambodhit kiya jata hai. Like he has different names. And in the same way, Krishna also is called with Mahabaho, Keshava, Vrishni. So he's called us so many names. And each name is not just arbitrary. ऐसे हम लोग चुन्नू मुन्नू बुलाते हैं ना, ऐसे नहीं है. So each name has a significance behind it. There is a science behind why Vyasadeva calls a specific name in a specific verse at that particular instance. So that is how scientific Bhagavad Gita is. If we have the capacity to dive deeper into this amazing scripture. So Partha, keeping Partha in the front, Krishna is milking the cows. Partho vatsaha sudir bhogthadu. Partha did not need. The calves don't drink the whole milk, if you see. Cows have more milk than what the calves need. That's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing, actually. And then the calves drink a little, because if you let the calf drink whole of the milk, then actually they get stomach problems. Have you noticed that? We have a farm in the Hare Krishna, Melbourne. We have a valley. The valley, about 250 acres of a farm. And we have about 30 cows and 30 bulls. All are Gir cows. They are massive cows and massive. They have about 2 tons with a hump on the back. Beautiful cows they are. So if you allow, recently Devaki, right? Devaki gave birth to a little calf, another cow. She was born during the Jhulan Yatra time. So she was named Jhulan Yatra. So Jhulan Yatra is not allowed to drink too much milk. If she drinks the whole udder, then she gets tummy pain. So they allowed her to drink a little, and then the rest is going to Radha Vallabha. We have Radha Vallabha in Hare Krishna, Melbourne. Srila Prabhupada himself has done Prana Pratishtha Sthapana of these deities in Melbourne. So it's a very powerful temple. If you go to YouTube and say Gauranita installation Melbourne, you will see Prabhupada installing the deities. You will see the video. So by great fortune and blessings from the Vaishnavas, we have the opportunity to serve them in Melbourne. So Arjuna only needs a little, because he's a Mahan Jnani, he's a Mahabhakta. He doesn't need Bhakti Shastri degree and all of this, he doesn't need. With a little bit of knowledge, he can assimilate all of this. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita is compared to what in this verse? Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha. What is Dogdha? Milk. Bhagavad Gita is compared to milk in this verse. In fact, let us delve a little more deeper. How many of you know about Samudra Manthan? Samudra Manthan episodes you all know, right? So when the Devatas and the Asuras are using Vasuki and the Mandara mountain, they are churning the ocean, the milk ocean, which comes in which canto? Which canto does it come under? 8th canto. It comes in the 8th canto. So they are churning the milk ocean. And Ajita, the Supreme Lord, is in the form of Ajita, and also what 2 forms of the Lord are there? And he comes in the form of a tortoise. What is he called as? Kurma avatar. Kurma and Ajita are both there, and they are churning the ocean. Similarly, 5,000 years ago, Vyasadeva was churning. He was churning his heart to say, how will I save these living entities in the Kali Yuga? Because Kali is fast approaching. When he was doing Samudra Manthan, let us compare. When the Kshira Sagara Manthana, when the milk ocean was being churned, out came the Veda, out came Lakshmi ji. Lakshmi came. But when the churning of the heart of Vyasadeva was happening, when Lakshmi ji came there, here Vedas came out of his heart, and he composed the Vedas. He was intuitively coming out of his mouth, and Ganesh ji was writing it all down. And then the milk ocean, going back to the churning of the milk ocean, when they were churning, then moon came. Moon had come up. And here, when Vyasadeva was churning his heart, then the Puranas came. Vedas and then the Puranas. Every Purana is also a moon. But the final full moon is Srimad Bhagavata Puranam. That is why on the Bhadra Purnima we distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. So the 18 Puranas, the 17 plus the one ultimate Purana, Bhagavatam, emanated from his heart. And again, as it was continued, the Amrita, the nectar came out when the churning of the milk ocean. Similarly, Vyasadeva, when he was churning, Brahmasutras came. Brahmasutras are aphorisms to the Vedas. So they are akin to nectar, actually. And then, when the churning was happening, just before the nectar came, a Parijata tree came out while churning of the milk ocean. Here, from Vyasadeva's heart, what came out? Mahabharata came out. Ita eva purana sagauragau samahabharata parijatake. It is compared to Parijata. Ita eva purana gauragau sa mahabharata parijatake. It is compared to the wonderful tree called Parijata. Have you seen the Parijata flower? In that Parijata tree, when that sprouted out of Vyasadeva, the Parijata tree had flowers in them, and the flowers were oozing with nectar during the milk ocean. And here, the tree of Mahabharata were oozing with nectar, the Parijata flowers, and that nectar is Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Mahabharata, Sripad Madhvacharya says, Mahabharata Parijata Madhubhuta. So it is honey, it is nectar that is oozing out of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a dense forest of Parijata trees, and within that, the fragrant flowers of Parijata is oozing with nectar. That nectar is Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which that pristine 700 shlokas, the glorious shlokas that Vyasadeva has composed. In fact, how to learn Gita? The moment we decide to learn Gita, we are actually doing Madhu Abhisheka to the Supreme Lord. That is why it is compared to honey. The more we study Bhagavad Gita, the more we are doing Abhisheka of honey to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, study of Bhagavad Gita means that is how we have to learn Bhagavad Gita. And why is Bhagavad Gita so great? Again in the Gita Mahatmya, Prabhupada says, Gita, Sugita, Kartavya, Kim manyai vistaraihi ya swayam padmanabhasya mukhapadmad vinishrita. This Bhagavad Gita is actually emanating from Krishna's lotus mouth. Ya swayam padmanabhasya mukhapadmad vinishrita. So, Adi Shankara says, Kim manyai shastra vistaraihi. People are engrossed with so many responsibilities, so many scriptures, so many things they are trying to read, but there is no need actually, because the one scripture that is coming from the lotus lips, Kim manyai shastra vistaraihi yaswayam padmanabhasya mukhapadmad, from the lotus lips, lotus mouth of Sri Krishna, this oozing nectar is coming out, which is Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, this is the glory of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now, we will go to a little bit of practical applications of how to approach this wonderful literature. How do you even study this? I'll share some personal experience. I had picked up a Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. It was there. I had a habit of reading scriptures, so I had books from all sansthas, Chinmayananda Mission, Ramakrishna Mission, that mission, this mission, and incidentally, Prabhupada's book also landed with me. I also had Indian philosophies by Sri Radhakrishnan also, the president of the Sarvopalli Radhakrishnan. I had those also. So I had Prabhupada's Gita. Every time I approached Bhagavad Gita, I couldn't understand it. It didn't make sense for me. Until one day came when my dear wife Madhuri Devi was sitting here. I was asking her help how to understand it. Then after a few years, then the Roman transliteration Prabhupada writes, those shlokas dawned on me, because Prabhupada is so merciful. There is perhaps more than 300 to 400 Bhagavad Gitas, at least in English, in the market today. Majority of them are written for us to teach Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is not there to just teach Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is actually to inspire us to love Krishna. That is why the intent is just not to study the scripture. The intent is to reach the goal, as Mataji was saying. The goal here is Krishna Prema. The goal here is to come to the point of loving Krishna. Therefore, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is very, different. It has a transformational experience. That is why you see, you might read many other Bhagavad Gitas. This is from practical experience I'm speaking. You read any other Bhagavad Gita in the market, you might become Pandita. You might become a Vipra, very learned scholar of the Bhagavad Gita, but transformation of life doesn't happen. Recently, somehow, YouTube, sometimes YouTube is connected to Paramatma, I think sometimes, the algorithms. One video popped up and there was a sannyasa-clad sadhu sitting inside a home. One hand, he was holding Bhagavad Gita, and another hand, what he had? He had a cigarette. So he was smoking, on the other hand, he was preaching Bhagavad Gita. So I thought, this is a bit, you can't digest this fact that he's smoking, he's intoxicated, and how can he teach Bhagavad Gita? So in the world, it is filled with such duplicitous instances all around us, especially in the day of information age nowadays. We are bombarded with so much information. Purity is very difficult to fetch, but Prabhupada's book has the potency. In fact, when I started understanding the Roman transliteration, then can you believe, even if you do not have Sanskrit knowledge, you can understand and chant the shlokas. That is what the karuna, the mercy of Srila Prabhupada is. He wrote the shloka, the Sanskrit shloka. He wrote the Roman transliteration in English. He wrote the word-to-word translation for every word. Then he wrote the Anuvada, which is the translation. Then he wrote the Bhavartha, which is the purports. Can you believe any author going to such a degree at the age of 70, so much mercy flowing out to compile these books? It's quite amazing. And Prabhupada had written it twice. The first time he wrote it got stolen, and he had to write it all again at the age of 70. So much pain he has gone through. Therefore, this book has the potency to purify the hearts. But there is a catch. There is a catch, which we will discuss again. But what is the requirement to study any Shastra? How do you study Shastras? When you want to read Shastra, what is Shastra? Because there is actually no English word for Shastra. It's not a scripture. Scripture means it's a written word of God, but Shastra is just not a written word of God. It's something beyond it. Karta, Shastrartha, Bhaktvat. Shastra and Shastra are the same meaning. Shastra and Shastra means to control. Similarly, Shastra also has the same meaning. To control, to dictate, to guide, to be a friend. It has its own pedagogy, Shastra. So therefore, what is the prerequisite to approach a Shastra? How do you approach a Shastra? With faith, yes. Anything else? Discipline, very good. Huh? Authority, very good. Go through the authority. Curiosity, yes. Huh? Devotion. And how do you get to devotion? Sorry? Practice. Exactly, thank you. All answers are correct actually. But there is a catch. The Shastras compiled by Vyasadeva, you cannot read it, because if I decide I want to study Bhagavad Gita, I cannot sit there, flip a book, and all of a sudden the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, I cannot grasp it. You know the English word it is to, usko samajhne ke liye kya hai word? What is the word in English? The word itself is very interesting. What is the word? What is the word? Understand. You split the word. What is under and stand? You stand under, not on top of it. You stand under it, and then the Shastras will open to you. You see, that is the whole meaning of understand. Understand means you take a humble Trinadapi suni chayana tarorapi sahishkuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So if you take a position lower to Bhagavad Gita, I cannot have the audacity to say, आज मैं सब कुछ समझ लूंगा भगवत गीता से. ये तो अहम हो गया ना. कर्ताहम इति मन्यते. प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ताहम इति मन्यते. So the Shastras requisite is I take a lower position of. That's why when we began, what was the first verse we chanted? Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuhu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. When we take to the shelter of the Guru, then the Guru will take us from darkness to light. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya. Timira Andhasya. We are in dense, dark dungeon actually. Material existence is called as a dense, dark forest. Actually, when it is saying dark, I don't mean dark which is dark to the eyes. Dark means dark to spiritual existence. One has to come to this point of surrendering to the Guru, then the Bhagavad Gita will open itself. Many times you see this, you've read the same line from Prabhupada, few times you wouldn't have got understood it. But sometimes you take a very pain, sometimes in life hits us hard. When life hits us very hard, so boss ne kaam se nikal diya, yaar pink slip ka chakkar chal raha hai office mein. Then you become tense. When you open Bhagavad Gita, you automatically lot of things comes to understanding. Why? Because you've taken a humble position. The more humbler we take a stance, the more the Shastra opens up. Shastra has to open up. We cannot control the Shastras. We have to let the Shastra control us. Then we can understand the scripture. So that is the way to approach Bhagavad Gita actually. When we have Prabhupada's purports, when we dive deep into Prabhupada's purports, it's sometimes, there are various methodologies. We can do Bhakti Shastri, we have reading groups. And another powerful mechanism to read Bhagavad Gita is Swadhyaya. Krishna says, Tapas Swadhyaya. He says, Swadhyaya, I am Swadhyaya, Krishna says. So Swadhyaya means to self-read. And sometimes it is good to meditate. Why did Prabhupada write this sentence? Why is Prabhupada, what is Prabhupada trying to tell me? When you try to deep dive into Prabhupada's words, then you are actually going deep into the heart of Srila Prabhupada, of what is his intent of writing this. In that way, you can churn more nectar by Prabhupada's purpose. So that is one way of approaching. We have to constantly hear Srila Prabhupada. How many of us hear Srila Prabhupada's lectures, hands up? So we have to make it a habit to at least hear 30 minutes of Prabhupada's voice. Prabhupada's voice is amazing. It's enigmatic. It has to go in our ears. Not only Prabhupada's chantings, his lectures. So Prabhupada will say, that voice has to go in. You have to wake up with Srila Prabhupada's voice. We have to be connected to the Acharya all the times. And that is the diktat of all disciples of Srila Prabhupada. All disciples of Srila Prabhupada tell us, every disciple of Srila Prabhupada whom we have served in Melbourne, at least we know, every day they hear at least 2 hours of Srila Prabhupada's lectures. Every disciple. That is their practice. They are setting a standard, so we at least should invest half an hour at least as confidential hearing. And what else? We have to have unbreakable Shraddha in Krishna's words. Every time we have a doubt, we have to get it clarified from someone who has perfected it. And these are various ways of learning Gita, or how we can approach to learn Gita. Now we will discuss a little bit on how to love Gita. Now before I start of this, how do you love something? Commitment, okay. Spending time, good. Fond of it, very nice. Consistency, yes, very good. There's so many ways, isn't it, to express love. In fact, Krishna says, I am the sound in the syllable Om. Krishna doesn't talk about his glorious names as Krishna in only one place. That's why Bhagavad Gita is a book for ABC of spirituality. Our next book will be Srimad Bhagavatam, and after that, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And of course, our thesis study is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is Nectar of Devotion. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna gives one clue, only one clue, that my Ishtadeva is Krishna. You know where it is? Where does Arjuna give us a clue? When Krishna shows his Virat Roop, and then Arjuna gets bewildered, Krishna comes back to the four-handed Vishnu form, and Arjuna says, I don't want even to see this form, I want to see your original form, which is the two-handed Shama Sundara form. And Krishna comes to this form, and Krishna then says, this form that I am now displaying it to you, Arjuna, is very durlabha, is very rare. So behold my beautiful Shama Sundara form. And this contribution is only in the Gaudiya Parampara. You don't see this in any other Vaishnava Parampara. They think Krishna is speaking about the Virat Roop. But in the Gaudiya Parampara text, they will say this Krishna is speaking about his Shama Sundara form. So that is why there is a hint of who our Ishta is. Therefore, Krishna and Krishna's names are not different. To get to the point of loving Gita, how do you love something? For example, if you want to love a movie, why would someone go and watch a movie? Can someone tell me what is a famous movie which is famous these days? I don't know, I don't watch movies. Yes. Who said that? Why would somebody go and watch that movie? Mad about what? About the name? Yes, who said that? Because who is there in the movie? You are a fan of who are the guys, the hero or heroine, whoever is it. Who is the hero? I don't know. So, Arjuna? So, you like a movie, you love a movie because of the primary actor in the movie, is it not? Because if you go to a movie where Hanuman Das has acted, you probably will not go. I don't even know who that person is. But this Arjun is there in that movie, then you probably will go, is it not? You'll probably go and... It's okay, it's all cool. So you'll probably go and watch the movie because you know the actor in the movie, is it not? So in the same way, to come to the point of loving Bhagavad Gita, we have to come to the point of loving Krishna. Because without loving the author, how can you love his talks? Without knowing the actor, how will you appreciate his acting? Then you will say, wow, Arjun ne kya dress lagaya yaar, kya acting kiya, kya dialogue mara. You will want to appreciate the actor because you love the actor. That is why you want to watch the movie, is it not? In the same way, if you do not know who Krishna is, you probably perhaps will not develop that love for Gita at all. In fact, Prabhupada says the Gita that he used to refer initially when he moved to the US, United States, was a Gita written by S. Radhakrishnan, who was our former president. And unfortunately, in that whole book of Gita, Krishna appeared only once, and that was in his signature. Yes, Radhakrishnan. That is where his name appeared. And he had written the whole Bhagavad Gita. This was the state of Bhagavad Gita, and it is the state even today. Because many people want to take Krishna's teachings, but they don't want Krishna. That type of knowledge will not invoke love for Bhagavad Gita. Love for Bhagavad Gita has to be understood by those who have love for Krishna. Premi Jana. When you Dhira Dhira Jana Priya Priya Karo Nirmatsaro Pujito. So the Goswamis, they have love for Krishna. And when you study their literature, when you study their books, then you develop love for Krishna. And then when you develop love for Krishna, you develop love for Krishna, his name, fame, form, pastimes, everything. In fact, Krishna's names and Krishna are non-different. Madhuram Madhure Bhyopi Mangale Bhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavane Bhyopi Harer Nameva Kevalam. The name of Krishna itself is so sweet. And his name, his form, and his teachings, they are not different. Somebody takes the name of Krishna, somebody sees the form of Krishna, and somebody hears what Krishna is saying. They are absolutely the same. They make the same effect on the pursuer, or on the seeker, actually. So therefore, it is important to come to the point of loving Krishna. First of all, to love Krishna, what do you have to know about Krishna? You have to know who that person is it not? If you want to love that hero, you have to know who that person is. You have to watch a lot of his YouTube shorts, flick his YouTube shorts, and then he will do some puja. He will spend some personal time with his wife or whatever. He will do some things to increase his popularity, and then he will say, "Oh, my favorite hero is Arjun," or whatever his name is. So in the same way, we need to understand who this actor is. In fact, it's a very interesting transition. The gopis glorify Krishna when he is walking in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are various instances which glorifies the beauty of Krishna, because Krishna is not belonging to this material world. Krishna doesn't belong to this matter at all. And there are a lot of people who glorify Krishna's beauty. One of the persons who glorifies Krishna's beauty is Brahmadev. When he goes through this Brahma Vimohan Leela, and he comes back and he sees, actually then realizes Krishna is his own self-same Lord. And then he, Naumidyate Bhavapushe Tadidambaraya Gunjavatam Saparipicchala Sanmukhaya Vanyashraje Kavala Vetra Vishana Venu Lakshma Shriye Mrudupade Pashupangajaya. Brahmaji looks at Krishna, that beautiful Krishna, and Krishna is not even looking at Brahmadev. He is looking at that side. He is holding in his left hand yogurt rice, which is dripping all through his fingers. And on his one hand, he's hitting his flute on his leg. He has gunja berries, and he has a barhavatamsa. Barha means a peacock feather, and he's smiling. He's always mandasmita. Looking at that beauty, Brahmaji gets bewildered. He's so beautiful. He's so attractive to look at. Similarly, that same Krishna is seen by the gopis. Barha peditam natavarah vapukarnayo karnikaram. Barha peditam natavara vapu karnayo karnikaram. When Krishna enters the arena of Vrindavan, Barha peditam, he's adorning a feather, a peacock feather, natavara vapu. Okay. Natavara means he's actually entering as if, how many of you have seen a drama? Have you gone to a live drama performance? When you see a live drama performance, when the curtains open up, the actors come into the stage, they have anklets and they come. Krishna enters Vrindavan like that. He's actually Natavara Vapu. Natavara means as if as a dancer he is entering Vrindavan. And Krishna's walk is also very majestic. He dances. He doesn't walk like us. His walk is also very natavara. Natavara vapu karnayo karnikaram. He wears a specific blue lotus in his ears. He wears a lotus flower adorning his ears. And then Bibhradvasa, Bibhradvasa, Kanakakapisham, Vaijayanti Chamalam. Bibhradvasa, he's adorning a yellow colored dress, which is like molten gold. Vaijanti Malam, he's wearing a garland which is Vaijanti flowers. And then Randhar Venor Adhara Sudha. And then the gopis are saying, this Krishna is not just walking, he's playing a flute. And how is he playing? Randhram Venor. In that Venu, he's playing his flute. And how he's playing the flute? Sudha. Sudha means the nectar from his lips is entering the flute. Adhara Sudha. The nectar of his lotus lips is entering the holes of the flute. And then behind him, now the gopis, the view is going to the gopas now. Gopa Vrindaihi. The gopas are actually singing about his glories and dancing behind Krishna and coming. And that is how Krishna enters the arena of Vrindavana. Now, we are not even talking of that. We are talking of what? We are talking of, what's the topic? Sorry, I thought I lost you all. What's the topic we are studying? Love Gita. Now think about it. This Natavara Vapu, this dancer who wearing a flower, dancing and then coming into Vrindavana, he is now sitting on a chariot. He's taken the position of a supreme lord, a teacher, a guru, a counselor, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and the Virat Rupa. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing transition. Here the gopis are and the gopas are dancing Gita Kirtihi, Pravesha Gita Kirtihi, and here he is now sitting on the chariot as a charioteer of Arjuna, and he's saying, Mattaha parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya, Mayi sarvam idam protam sutre manigana eva, he says. Krishna repeatedly says, I am the Supreme Lord. Aham sarvasya prabhava mattah sarvam pravartate. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Krishna is repeatedly saying, I am the Supreme Lord. Come and surrender to me. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. But then in between these verses, Krishna gives a clue of loving interaction with him. Macchitta madgatah prana bodhayantah parasparan kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. My devotees discuss about me and they derive great pleasure, Arjuna. So in between he talks that he is a supreme. He gives so many facets of his existence. Krishna says, I am the Supreme Lord. Krishna says he is a yogi. Krishna says he is an Adi Yogi. Krishna says he is a cousin because he also comes as a Vrishni. But he also says, I am a beloved of Arjuna. He says, Macchitta bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam. They always discuss about me, Arjuna. And then he explains how dear devotees are to him. So he explains his relationship with the devotees. So we have to come to this point of understanding who Krishna is. Have you seen some old Hindi movies? You know, in old Hindi movies, there is a problem of this, I don't know what you call it as, dementia. You know, sometimes due to accident, they forget everything. What's it called as? Amnesia. Yes, amnesia. You've seen those old movies. I remember watching old movies, Sharmila Tagore, all those things, long time back. Sometimes the heroine forgets all her memories. What does the hero do as a treatment? How does he remind her? How does he remind her old memories? Same places. And then? Moments, is it not? And the hero will say, do you remember we had coffee here? Do you remember you had hit me here on the head? Do you remember you were very displeased of the hotel here? Do you remember we had gone to these mountains of this? He will show all of this and then he will say, will you remember something or not? And then, kuch yaad aa raha hai. Wife will say, you know, like that. In fact, Krishna also does that. Krishna says that, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam. My activities are glorious, Arjuna. One who knows about this will never return. In fact, they don't belong to this material world. Dvavimao purusha uleuke ksharak shakchare vacha. You do not belong to this material world. Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat. I am the carrier of all of you, Arjuna. Mrityu samsara sagarat. Tesham aham samudharta. I am the one who carries everyone out of this material world. So can you remember? Can you come back to your original instance that you are a spirit soul? Can you remember that you are not this body? Krishna repeatedly reminds us from our amnesia, but it's difficult. समोसे आलू में ही फंस जाते हैं हम लोग ना, कचौरी समोसे पानी पूरी में ही फंस जाते हैं. Yes, Krishna, let me have my pani puri first. We'll come back to it later. So Krishna also does that repeatedly. So in this way we have to develop love for the Supreme Lord. When we come to the point of loving Krishna, then his words become lovable to us. When we talk about Krishna, tears should come from our eyes. In fact, in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu travels in his pilgrimage, and when he comes to South India, in Sri Rangam, there is a devotee who does not know how to read Bhagavad Gita because he's a dull devotee. And then his guru says, you are a dull guy, just go and study on yourself. So this devotee is looking at the front page of Bhagavad Gita, where you've heard the story. So where he's looking at the front page and he's crying. Why is he crying? He feels, here is my Supreme Lord, my Aradhya Daiva, my Ishta, but he is acting as if he's a charioteer, he's a driver. And in fact, being a driver of a chariot, of a horse carriage is very difficult. It's not like driving your cars here, because you have to sit at the foot of the passenger. And you know how the passenger tells him the directions? You know how the direction is told to the charioteer? By kicking. If you kick on the left, you have to turn left. If you kick on the right, he has to, because you're in a battlefield. And in those days, you will not have a speakerphone. Krishna, can you please turn right? ऐसा नहीं होता है ना. It's lot of noise in the war field. So it will be through his feet. Arjuna is kicking Krishna. Therefore, looking at this, the devotee is crying. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and hugs this devotee. You have understood the real purport of Bhagavad Gita. Because this has to flow. So therefore, to love Gita, to learn Gita, there are two requirements. That requirement also Krishna says in the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, verse number 10.8. When he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavamatta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam. Who does bhajan, who does devotional service to me, how should one do devotional service? Buddha bhava samanvitaha. Sometimes we approach Bhagavad Gita too intellectually. We should avoid it. Krishna says, Buddha and Bhava Samanvita. See, many a times due to reductionist process in the material world, we study all our subjects through reductionism. Reductionism means too much analysis, and we go into this analysis paralysis. Too much intellectual. That's why in today's day and age, children are getting fatigued because बहुत दिमाग का काम चल रहा है, बहुत मस्तिष्क का, मन का काम चल रहा है, but bodily they are tired mentally, not physically. There is an imbalance. They are not able to withhold their emotions properly or express their emotions properly. The reason is there is an imbalance in their activity. In the same way, when we approach Bhagavad Gita, we should not approach Bhagavad Gita merely from an intellectual perspective, also not merely from an emotional perspective. Not too much bhava also. Because Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Ati Bhakti Dhurta Lakshan. Too much Bhakti means thoda dhurte, thoda dur rakho isko. So, Krishna says, Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. Balance your buddhi, intellect, and bhava, emotion. With that approach, we have to study the Bhagavad Gita. So, if you don't have bhava, you will not develop that butter-like heart towards Krishna. Too much intellectual, too much analysis, intellectual analysis will harden it. You might understand it analytically, but you might not experience it. To bring your intellect to the position of experience, you need to have bhava. That is why before prema, the stage is bhava. So bhava is important. So buddha bhava samanvita. Then you can come to the point of loving Gita and learning Gita. So now Krishna has transitioned from that Vrindaranya to the point of Acharya. Therefore, he is Vasudevam Jagadgurum. Kashyapa Muni says this to Diti just before the advent of Vamanadeva in the 8th canto. Another one story I'll tell you, an example of loving Gita. How do you assess somebody is loving Gita? In fact, there was a Prabhupada disciple. He lives in the US. So there's an actual story that happened. He called his disciple. For some reason, he wanted his disciple to speak to his disciple. He called his disciple. Incidentally, the child picked up the call. The child was 6 years old, and he says, Hare Krishna. So he says, this is such a Swamiji, and the child paid his obeisances. Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Children usually repeat it. And then he said, can I speak to your dad? He says, dad has gone outside, Maharaj. Can I speak to your mother? Maharaj, mother is not well. She is sleeping, Maharaj. So the child answered, what happened? What happened, dear? And you know what was the child's answer? Guess what was the answer? From the perspective of loving Gita. Huh? The child quoted a verse. Maharaj, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apaino anityas tam stitikshasva bharata. Mother is suffering, Maharaj. She has to tolerate, Maharaj. And he's trying to preach this to Maharaj, and Maharaj said, wow. So, this is love of Gita. This is repeating Krishna's Yaswayam Padmanabhasya Mukhapadmad Vinishritaha. So, when we come to the point of loving Gita, automatically Krishna's words repeat. We, sometimes in movies, when a hero falls in love with the heroine, or the heroine falls in love with the hero, they repeat each other's words. This person was saying like this person was saying like this. We have to come to the point of repeating Krishna's words. Then we know we have fallen in love with Krishna. In fact, and this loving Krishna in this way will protect us in all ways, which will come to the third point, which is called living Gita. Am I not boring you all? Is it okay if we continue for a few more minutes? Otherwise, let me know if I'm boring you all. I don't know if it's too much to take in. Living Gita, I want to share what has happened in Melbourne after COVID. Before COVID, we had about 8 Bhakti Vrikshas, and each Bhakti Vrikshas had about 20 to 40, like Prabhu we all used to catch up in my apartment. After COVID, what happened? If we advertise about Bhakti Vriksha, within a span of 2 days, 100 people opt in, and we have to say it's closed, because we do it in the houses, and 100 is already too much. Otherwise, neighbors will start complaining. Kya chal raha hai yahan pe? And most of the Bhakti Vrikshas happen Friday nights, because that's our party time. Our parties are spiritual parties, and the neighbors, they want to have different type of party, so they get annoyed actually. So people are taking to spirituality in large numbers in Melbourne. At least I can tell you that. Primarily because they want their children to come back to spirituality or something. At least there are some ulterior motives, but which is still good. At least they're taking to spirituality. The reason why I mentioned this is when these parents come to the Bhakti Vrikshas, they think Bhakti Vriksha is like daycare. They can drop their child and go. I met a family. He says, Prabhu, we have what is that? Some club meeting on Fridays, Prabhuji. We come and drop our child and go, and then come at 9:30 and pick up. We don't want food, Prabhu. We'll have food outside. I say, actually, excuse me, this is not a daycare. We want your presence also. We take attendance. We said, oh, we also have to come. Oh, okay. But we are happy to pay the fees. We said, we don't want fees, but your fees is your presence. So people think it's a concept of daycare. Huh? Why? Because they want their children. The desire is nice. They have a desire. But lest they understand what they have got because of the Bharata Bhumi as privilege, their children in Melbourne haven't got. They don't have access to this beautiful land, to this beautiful people, to this beautiful air, to the water where this is called Sadhaka Bhumi. This Bharata Bhumi, we have been fortunate to live here 20-25 years and percolate all this mercy that we have obtained from even Krimikita from this, from even insects from this Bharata Bhumi. But children who are born outside, they are bereft of all of this. I'm not saying it's bad place, but still, spirituality means, in the house you have an altar. You keep an altar. So the Lord created this universe, and the universe ka altar is Bharata. So the Lord exists everywhere. But if you want specific meditation, you have to come near the altar. So that altar is Bharata Bhumi. So that is the geographical significance of Bharata Bhumi. So parents' interest is good, but they forget a main point. We tell them the only connection they have with Samskrita, Bharata Bhumi and Dharma is you. And if you are not a devotee, forget about it. 1 hour of sessions in Bhakti Vriksha will not transform the children. Of course, if there are Prahlad Maharaj has their previous karmic backgrounds, they may, but most of the children cannot. So therefore, we inspire the parents to come and live Bhagavad Gita. So we train them. Bhakti Vrikshas are for the same situation. Therefore, we tell them that you have to be role models for your children. In fact, in today's day and age, who are our role models? Or who are our role models, or the schools who train our children to become role models again towards? Who are the actual role models who are being trained to? Our children are trained towards? Huh? Sorry? Actors. Anyone else? Sports champions? Politicians? Really? Okay. Huh? Superheroes? Business tycoons, exactly. Corporate giants. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Mr. Murthy. So we make these people our role models, but they are also struggling with the same six senses which we are also struggling. But because we think that they have some fame, wealth, etc., we think they are leading their life very happily. For example, Mr. Musk, he's an addict. He has to take some fine amount of cocaine to sustain his 19-hour shifts that he does. So they are also struggling with their senses. Therefore, we have to take role models of acharyas who have lived Gita, who follow the instructions that Krishna has given. That is how we live Gita. Living Gita, Krishna, in fact, this 574 verses Krishna speaks, 99.99% they're all instructions for us to follow, actually. If we follow these instructions of Krishna, then we will come to the point of living Gita. In fact, Krishna tells in the third part, because if you see, the whole the 3L formula also can be structured nicely. What is learn Gita? Let's say the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita is called as Live Gita or Karma Yoga section. How to live your life. The last 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita is how to learn Gita or the Jnana Yoga section, and the 6 chapters in the middle is called Love Gita or how you develop love towards Krishna or bhakti or devotional service towards Krishna. So in various ways you can understand the 3L formula. But Krishna gives us instructions all through the Bhagavad Gita how to live our life so that we can get out of this painful existence. But what is a prerequisite for that? What is a prerequisite to get out of this painful existence called material world? Okay, love Krishna, but what is a prerequisite to that also? Huh? Knowledge, but what is a prerequisite to that also? Okay, realization of what? Correct. See, unless I come to understand I have a disease, I will not go to a doctor. Is it not? I'll continue to eat the samosa, kachori, panipuri, everything. Unless I know something kuch kharab hai pet mein, then till then I'll not be. I'll be thinking everything is hunky dory. In Australian terms, hunky dory means everything is sab kuch thik tak chal raha hai. Changasi in Punjabi. So everything is going fine. Why should I worry about adhyatma chintan? So the prerequisite to come to point of living Gita is to understand that the futility of this material existence. This material existence is not a nice place to stay. It's not a nice place to stay. In fact, Shukadeva Goswami, when he begins his Bhagavatam, he starts Nidraya Hryate Naktam Vyavayena Chavavayaha Divacharte Hayarajan Kutumba Bharanenava. People are busy just running their families in India. When I came from Melbourne here, I should honestly pay obeisances to all of you. Maya's influence in Bharata is extraordinarily stronger than in the outside world, at least from where I come from, because it's a struggle to even sustain your day-to-day life. It is a struggle. But when we come to the point of accepting Krishna, glorious devotees can give examples of how Krishna personally intervenes in your life and simplifies your life and makes your life easy. So we have to allow Krishna to come and take control of our lives. Then we can live Gita. Living Gita means it is not a mental adjustment. It is not mental adjustment. It is a conscious attempt in both mind, body, and thought, word, and deed to live Gita. For example, if we simplify our lives, for example, when I see even in Melbourne, I see this. Devotees sometimes, because they have to please people outside, so that Prabhu spoke a lot of glories about me living in UK and living in Melbourne. This is good to impress, but sometimes in the garb of impressing others, we lose the plot. For example, buy a new big car. Because if you drive a good car, people will respect you, Prabhuji. Then they will come to devotional practice. So while doing this, you have heard this story. There will be a brahmachari. This brahmachari he has only two-piece cloth, a dhoti and a kaupin. A kaupin andar pehna kaupin. So he keeps drying the kaupin. What happens? A rat keeps coming and eating his kaupin every time. Somebody says, Prabhuji, I'll give you an idea. If you want to save the rat, buy a cat. Then you can be safe. Your kaupin will be safe. So then he hires a cat. He gets a cat. Cat eats the rat and finishes the rat, but the cat is hungry now. Somebody says, some simple Prabhuji, keep a cow, then the cat is happy, you are happy. You will also get milk and he is also happy. Then he brings the cow. Then the cow comes, the cow gives milk. Then problem is he has no time to now do his adhyatma chintan, his meditation. Then they say, nothing Prabhuji, you just marry. Your wife will come, she will do everything. You can completely sit and meditate nicely. Have you heard of all of this before? And see how the life changes once the wife comes in. So, in fact, the interest towards sannyasa increases. So, it's good. Good to get married. So this is a very typical scenario. These are metaphorical stories, but it is actually happening in our lives. We complicate our lives. The more simple we live, the lesser our requirements are. Richer is the man, not who has too many things. Richer is a man who actually needs very little. So if devotees continue to live a simpler life, then they can save their energies, valuable human form of energy, investing into spiritual activities. Adhyatma chintan mein hum log time bita sakte hain. Otherwise, we have spent so much time in making money. Ultimately, what can our profession, our money, our qualification give us? Death. Is it not? Comfortable death, maybe. Is it not? वो लास्ट में वेंटिलेटर डाल देंगे, हो गया काम. Finally, it ends there. Sorry to be gross, but actually it ends there. So all our efforts. Imagine you are investing in some bank, and finally, Prabhu, what is the returns, Prabhu? Returns, Prabhu, final zero. नक्का देंगे Prabhu. आप 2 crore रुपए डालेंगे, हमको $0 देंगे, ₹0 देंगे. What? Yeah, Prabhu. This is what is called material life. You invest so much into it, finally it will give you zero. That body also they will burn. That also you can't take. That ashes also they will put in the water. वो भी नहीं ले जा सकते. तो लेके क्या गए? कुछ नहीं. The karmic baggages we carry. So therefore, an intelligent devotee will think, I will not invest a minute into these material emoluments. I will make sure that padam yat padam padam vipadam natesham. Every step मैं फूक के रखूंगा. That I'll be careful whether to invest my thought, my word, my deed. My thought, my thinking, my thinking is happening. And how many times you picked up a phone to text someone or call someone and you spent 45 minutes looking at unwanted messages or Facebook and Instagram? We all can relate with it, isn't it? And then you realize, why did I pick up the phone? Oh, I forgot. Keep the phone down. Again after, I had to text. Again, वही scene repeat होता है. 45 minutes you are on Instagram, that, this, and then nowadays, especially Indian apps, you get advertisements. You get into the elevator advertisements. We were in the metro now. It was amazing. People were teaching to do yoga inside the train. So, wow, metro services train yoga also. Then we thought they were from some yoga kendra. I don't want to name, but they were from yoga kendra. They were promoting their yoga habits inside the metro train, which is a nice thing. I'm not criticizing. It's a nice thing because we also do books in the train, isn't it? But there is marketing of material. Yoga is not material science, which is appreciated, but the material advertisements are everywhere, drawing your attention everywhere. So therefore, a devotee is careful not to invest his thought, his words, and his deed where it will not take him closer to Krishna. Will this thought take me closer to Krishna? No. Then don't waste your time. Will this words take me closer to Krishna? No, don't waste your time. Will this deeds take me closer to Krishna? No, don't waste my time. I'll not waste my time. Okay. Now I'll just culminate putting a bow on the box. One may think, Prabhuji, we are okay. How many of you are students here who are studying? Okay, few students here. How many of you are grihasthas who are married? Okay, most of you are grihasthas. See, Krishna created the 4 varnas. Each person has a specific duty to perform. We have to understand that. Arjuna also had a duty to perform. What was his duty? in the war field, is it not? That's why Bhagavad Gita was spoken in the war field. Now, Arjuna, what did he want to do? Correct. He wanted to run away. Klaibyam masmagamah partha naitatvayupapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktvotishta parantapa. Krishna chastises Arjuna. Klaibya, you are like a napumsaka. Where did this weakness come from? Klaibyam masmagamah partha naitatvayupapadyate. Kshudram, you are kshudra, you are weak. Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam. Ye daurbalya ahan kahan se aapko Arjun? Where is this weakness coming from? How are you trying to say, I'm going to renounce everything? Arjuna says, I'm okay to even Shreyo Bhaikshum Bhaikshyamapi Haloke. I'll go and beg from Duryodhana. I'll beg alms like a sannyasi. I don't want to fight this war, Arjuna says. Krishna says, where did this weakness come from? He says, me and my people are there. My people. Krishna objected this because, oh, you are only worried because your teacher, your grandfather is there. Are you not worried the soldiers on your side? They also have someone as grandfathers. They also have teachers. They also have mothers, wives. You're only worried about your people. You know, this is what is called hard knot of material existence. Have you experienced this? Sometimes, let's say, your family is in US and there was a storm in the US, in Florida. You first thing what we will do? We'll check whether our family is safe. If our family is safe, then it's okay. Our family is safe. Phone each other. Till then the anxiety is there. No, but you have to have anxiety for every living entity, is it not? Why only me, my family? This is the same anxiety Arjuna had. Oh, my teacher, my cousins, my this, my that. Janasya lokoyam aham mameti. So Krishna rejected this. Krishna says your duty is to fight. Similarly, as grihasthas, as students, we all have our duties. Krishna never ordained us to run away from our duties. If I'm a mother, I have to be a perfect mother. If I'm a wife, I have to be a perfect wife. If I'm a husband, I have to be a perfect husband. If I'm a father, I have to execute the duties of a father perfectly. If I'm a mother, I should execute the duties of a mother perfectly. Otherwise, you know, Prabhupada, somebody asked Prabhupada, who is a pure devotee? How do you define a devotee? You know what was Prabhupada's answer? Huh? Good. You know what Prabhupada's answer was? Devotees are gentlemen. That's all. That's what Prabhupada's definition was. Concise, short, but this called in English it's called nominalization. Nominalization means it's a short aphorism. If you expand that sentence, it means a lot. You have to be a gentleman. Gentleman also means gentlewoman in that sense. You have to be perfect. Gopis were perfect. They used to come to Ras Leela after they have done all their duties. Right? So, why I'm saying this is Krishna repeatedly says, Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jayato hyakarmanaha sharira yatra pichate na prasided akarma. You have to do your duties properly. But that one may ask, Prabhu, are you not speaking two different things now? You are telling, first of all, don't get too much engrossed in work because it's material world, zero investment. And other end, you are telling me become a devotee. But now you are telling me do your work diligently. How do you bring these things together? This is the same doubt Arjuna had. You want me to fight, but at the same time you want me to be a devotee. How is that possible? Krishna tells this in the Bhagavad Gita, how to do this. The reason is, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Please repeat after me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Mai arpitamano buddhir. Mame vaishyasya samshayaha. Krishna says this, Tasmat, therefore, Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. He tells to Arjuna, Arjuna, you should fight, but remember me and fight. Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Mere Anusaran Karte Hue Yudh Karna. Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Then, Mai Arpitamano Buddhir. Offer your mind and intelligence to me, not to your boss. To Krishna as the boss. Krishna, let this work be an offering to you, Krishna. Whatever your work is, you're a computer science graduate, you're whatever work you do, you're an engineer, you're an architect, you're a manager, you're a director, whatever work you do, beginning of the word Krishna, let this work be your worship. Work is not worship. People say work is worship. Work done to please the Lord is worship. Kuru bhungsva cha karma nijam niyatam Haripad vinamra dhiya satatam Harireva paro Harireva guroho Harireva jagat pitra matra gatihi. So when you work, this work has to be done as an offering to the Lord. Otherwise that work is not worship, because that work will bind you. Yagnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. If you don't work, if you work for your sense gratification, it will bind you. You're like karma, bad or good karma. If you work to please Krishna, that work will liberate you. That same work will liberate you. Similarly, for students, if they are studying, this study that I am doing, Krishna, is to please you, my dear Lord. Let this be your worship. But it is difficult to come to this consciousness. Therefore, the program Prabhupada has given us. How to perfectly live Gita. Simple, become an ISKCON devotee. कुछ नहीं करना है, ISKCON में आते रहिए, you will become perfect at what you do. Because this framework, I am not just telling because I am practitioner of ISKCON. I am telling you after I have gone and सब जगह पानी पी के आया हूँ. Because I have fished around everywhere. This framework Prabhupada has established is an amazing framework. It's a scientifically proven framework. I'm coming from the place where there is no access to Sanatana Dharma, there is no access to piety, there is no access to anything, where there are slaughterhouses for every next street. So Prabhupada's design is amazing, especially the morning program. If somebody has to go to a morning program, Mangal Arati, if somebody wakes up early in the morning, chants their rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Does their fixed set of rounds, 16 if possible or more if you have interest, and then reading scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, attending the artis. Gradually, these engagements transform our consciousness. Uddhared atmanatmanam nanatmanam avashadayat, Krishna says. How do you even control your mind? This is the way. By coming in the association of the devotees. By making the association a habit. Have you read the book Stephen R. Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? So you tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. You know, and I'll tell you. You tell me what you eat, so therefore that you are. You know, jaisa ann vaisa man mein. So all of this gets transformed when you come here to these associations. So these are, trust me, these are oases and deserts of material existence. Actually, you will only realize this after a few years. Bhakti is like traveling in an airplane. You will not realize the plane is traveling at 600 kilometers per hour. Only when you see it from outside, you will see how fast. If you're in the plane, you will not realize it's going that fast. Is it not? You'll see the same cloud for the last 2 hours. You'll feel, maza nahi aa raha yaar. But tike rahiye. Stay here and see how it works. The process is beautiful. I can relate back to my 15 years of my engagement with the devotees. It's an amazing journey, especially with Srila Prabhupada's books. So if somebody doesn't have, how many of you does not have Srila Prabhupada's books? Anybody do not have Srila Prabhupada's books? Everybody has, so it's good. Then we have to make an endeavor to read it. What is the result of this? The result is Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Danurdaraha, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Madhidhama. If we become Krishna conscious, and if we learn Gita, love Gita, and live Gita, then we will be victorious. Tatra Shrir, we will have wealth, good wealth which protects us. See, we don't want wealth that Ravana had. Ravana also was wealthy, is it not? He had a lanka of gold. What happened to his wealth? Burnt down. Who burnt it? Hanumanji burnt it all. We don't want such wealth which eventually destroys us. Lakshmi ji came to Ashokavana. Sita Mata came, but when she went, what happened? Destroyed. We don't want that Lakshmi which destroys us. We want Lakshmi with Narayana, which nourishes us. That is called Shrir, Tatra Shrir, Vijaya. We want victory. Victory means what? Spiritual victory. Tatra Shrir, Vijaya, Bhutir, Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. So when we invoke Krishna, become Krishna conscious, all of these auspiciousness naturally are bestowed in our lives. We will be successful materially also, and successful spiritually as well, and that is what we actually are hankering for. So I'll stop here and summarize. As practitioners, we need to come to the point of learning, loving, and living Gita primarily. Especially, we all have separate duties, but we need to be pramanikta. In Hindi there is honesty. If you are a father or a parent, sometimes parents cheat their children. When the children are around, they'll behave as if they are very nice parents. When their children are not around, Facebook, Instagram, सब कुछ चलता है. Don't cheat, because your children can smell it. Trust me, because you'll get back the same way. So we need to become honest, because where there is cheating, what is there? What comes with cheating? Fear. Is it not? The moment you are in the red light, nobody is there, you skip the red light, what comes? Fear comes. You suddenly hear a whistle, you will feel the cop has come, caught you. So if we come to the point of honesty within ourselves, what is the evidence of honesty? When we are alone at home, we should be honest with ourselves. We don't have to prove we are honest to anyone. We have to be honest with ourselves. Then we can live Gita, because Gita is transcendental to this material existence. So we have to come to the point of mode of goodness to understand all of this. So constantly coming to this satsanga will bring us to that platform, and then we can actually live Gita according to Krishna's instructions. So I'll stop here. Thank you so much for eagerly lending your ear. If there are any questions, comments, or realization somebody wants to share with us, there is a mic actually being circulated. We can have. Sudhir Gopal Prabhu, how many minutes more can we go? Is it okay? Sorry, I don't know if I've crossed the time. 5 minutes. Okay, thank you.